The world gasped as a breaking news alert flashed across every screen, declaring Sophia Carter's perfect life had shattered. A leaked recording echoed through living rooms, her trembling voice filled with panic. Chloe Reed said, "This isn't gossip, this is destruction." Cameras swarmed her mansion gates, flashes painting the night sky like lightning. Daniel Cross stood nearby, smirking in shadows unseen by the world, his betrayal feeding the flames. Sophia whispered, "They weren't supposed to know," her breath catching like shattered glass. Maya Lopez clutched her phone, torn between loyalty and fear, whispering, "How do we bury this?" Yet the truth spread faster than fire. The crowd outside screamed, hungry for more, demanding justice, demanding ruin. Detective Harris watched silently, already piecing together fragments of corruption behind the chaos. Ryan Blake shouted into the night, "She doesn't deserve this," his voice swallowed by the roar. Emma Price, unseen, knew she had witnessed too much. The first blow was not scandal but crime, a revelation far darker than fame's fall. The headlines exploded across social media, each notification another dagger in Sophia Carter's chest. Chloe Reed's voice cut like steel. The star the world worshipped is now the subject of investigation. Sophia's hands trembled as she locked herself inside her bedroom, curtains drawn tight against the relentless camera lights. Daniel Cross whispered to an unseen associate, "It's only the beginning," his smirk as dangerous as the storm above. Maya Lopez clutched her head in silence, wishing she had spoken sooner. Ryan Blake raged online, begging fans not to abandon her. Emma Price whispered prayers no one heard, knowing secrets she could not share. Detective Harris opened his notebook, every scribble bringing Sophia closer to ruin. The world did not wait for explanations. It demanded judgment, and the chorus was deafening. The leaked audio clip played again, Sophia Carter's voice raw with fear. "Please don't let them find out," she cried. Chloe Reed said, "Her empire has collapsed in 6 minutes." Daniel Cross sipped expensive whiskey, watching coverage unfold like entertainment. Maya Lopez pressed her palms to her face, unable to breathe. Ryan Blake shouted online, "You're killing her," his words ignored by a ravenous audience. Emma Price sat frozen in silence, afraid her knowledge would burn her alive. Detective Harris closed his eyes, whispering, "The evidence is there," his tone both cold and resolute. In the storm of flashing cameras, Daniel Cross made his move, shaking hands with a tabloid editor outside a black car. Chloe Reed smirked as another headline prepared to strike. Sophia Carter whispered, "He betrayed me," as if admitting truth to herself. Maya Lopez collapsed onto the couch, realizing silence had chained her fate to Sophia's. Ryan Blake stormed into the mansion gates only to be held back. Emma Price pressed herself tighter against the shadows, afraid her eyes alone were dangerous. Detective Harris watched from a distance, muttering, "This isn't scandal, it's evidence." The first reveal arrived like thunder. Sophia Carter wasn't merely hiding an affair. She was entangled in financial fraud tied to dangerous players. Chloe Reed shouted on air, "This is not fame, this is crime." Daniel Cross raised a glass, victory in his eyes. Maya Lopez sobbed, "We should have stopped this long ago." Ryan Blake screamed, "You don't know the whole story," his voice drowned by headlines. Emma Price's hands shook violently as she whispered, "I saw everything." Detective Harris's jaw tightened. "Now the investigation begins," he said coldly. The scandal had become a crime scene. Before the scandal, Sophia Carter was a vision of glamour, her story celebrated as the dream made real. Chloe Reed once said, "She rose from nothing to command the world's attention." Sophia smiled at red carpets, dazzling beneath endless camera flashes. Daniel Cross stood proudly at her side, whispering promises of loyalty and love. Maya Lopez adjusted her dress, fixing the details no one else noticed. Ryan Blake cheered, his friendship genuine, his pride unshaken. Emma Price peeked from the sidelines, invisible among the glittering lights. Detective Harris observed from afar, already suspicious of perfection too clean. Sophia whispered in memory. I thought I could hold it all forever. But even in triumph, the seeds of betrayal were planted, silent and poisonous. Sophia Carter's story was one of escape from poverty, her childhood streets traded for silver screens. Chloe Reed said she embodied the impossible made possible. Sophia recalled long nights rehearsing in cheap apartments, driven by hunger for more. Daniel Cross appeared during her rise, whispering of destiny and devotion. Maya Lopez handled endless schedules, exhausted but loyal. Ryan Blake laughed beside her, sharing champagne as fame solidified. Emma Price dusted furniture in the background, invisible witness to a legend forming. Detective Harris traced the paper trail quietly, convinced every empire hid shadows. Sophia said softly, "They called me unstoppable." Yet even as applause roared, cracks hid beneath the surface. Sophia Carter's beauty became her crown, her charm, her weapon, her vulnerability, her lure. Chloe Reed narrated, she was adored, envied, and hated in equal measure. Sophia gazed into mirrors before shows, whispering, "This is who they want." Daniel Cross brushed her shoulder, reminding her of his control. Maya Lopez rushed with makeup brushes, ensuring perfection held. Ryan Blake told her, "They love you for who you are," though even he questioned it. Emma Price fetched glasses of water, unnoticed yet present in every shadow. Detective Harris scribbled notes, muttering, "Masks always crack." The audience adored Sophia's glow, but beneath fear lingered like smoke in a closed room. The enabler's silence bound Sophia Carter's fate tighter than betrayal. Maya Lopez stared at her phone, emails of fraud unsigned yet ignored. Chloe Reed said, "The empire was built on silence as much as talent." Sophia whispered, "Maya, stay with me," desperation in her tone. Maya's heart twisted, torn between truth and loyalty. Daniel Cross kissed Sophia's cheek on stage, a lie masked as devotion. Ryan Blake clapped, not knowing the truth beneath the smiles. Emma Price dropped a tray in fear, wondering if speaking could save her. Detective Harris's jaw clenched as he watched, certain the web was growing darker. In quiet corners of luxury, the seed of corruption took root. Sophia Carter signed contracts with trembling hands, Daniel Cross guiding her pen. Chloe Reed whispered to her audience, she was loved, but she was doomed. Maya Lopez looked away, choosing silence over intervention. Ryan Blake toasted success with blind faith. Emma Price passed by, heart pounding as she glimpsed the documents. Detective Harris muttered, "This is where it begins," already knowing where it would lead. Sophia whispered softly, "Just one more step." The crowd adored her, but the trap had already been set. The descent began in flashing lights and smoky clubs. Sophia Carter danced in sequins under neon haze, her laughter masking desperation. Chloe Reed said, "The cracks were visible, yet no one looked away." Daniel Cross leaned into her ear, whispering venom disguised as love. Maya Lopez trailed behind, exhausted, covering lies with forced smiles. Ryan Blake pleaded Sophia, "Go home," but his words drowned in pounding music. Emma Price watched from the staff corner, tray shaking in her hands. Detective Harris stood outside the club, muttering, "Addiction leaves trails." Sophia whispered to herself, "They can't see me break," but her mask was already slipping. The interviews turned sharp, words slipping like blades. Sophia Carter sat under studio lights, her smile cracking as reporters pressed harder. Chloe Reed asked, "Is it true the affair cost you millions?" Sophia laughed weakly. "Rumors are just noise," her eyes betraying fear. Daniel Cross adjusted his cufflinks, smirk never fading. Maya Lopez handed notes, hoping to save her boss from herself. Ryan Blake groaned off camera, muttering, "They'll twist everything." Emma Price watched the live broadcast, whispering, "She's breaking." Detective Harris wrote in his file, "Public mask collapsing." The audience saw Glamour falter, the perfect image cracking on live television. Ryan Blake's world began to crumble beside hers. Sophia Carter begged him, "Don't leave me now." Ryan said, I'll stand with you, though his career trembled beneath the weight of her scandal. Chloe Reed narrated, the fallout spread like fire. Daniel Cross whispered, he's collateral, his tone chilling. Maya Lopez wiped tears, guilt pressing heavier. Emma Price murmured, he doesn't deserve this, but no one listened. Detective Harris underlined his notes, tragic ally falling. Ryan's loyalty blinded him, but his destruction mirrored Sophia's own, sealing both their fates in ruin. Whispers turned into betrayal as Sophia Carter's inner circle fractured. Chloe Reed reported, sources close to her confirmed, the empire is crumbling. Daniel Cross spoke to tabloids behind her back, his words dripping poison. Maya Lopez begged, don't do this to her, her voice breaking. Ryan Blake slammed fists, you're destroying her. Sophia cried, why are you all against me? Emma Price hid in the shadows, clutching truth too heavy to bear. Detective Harris listened to every leaked word, marking connections. Trust was no longer currency. Betrayal became the new economy of her downfall. And then came the phone call, the sound of inevitability slamming the door shut. Sophia Carter answered, her voice cracking. Who is this? A shadowed voice replied, it's over. Chloe Reed broke news instantly. A new piece changes everything. Daniel Cross poured himself a drink, satisfied. Maya Lopez sobbed, we can't fix this anymore. Ryan Blake screamed into silence, tell me what's happening. Emma Price dropped her tray, trembling. Detective Harris whispered, the turning point. The world shifted in that moment, and nothing was the same again. The mask was ripped away, and truth emerged like poison. Sophia Carter sat trembling as documents spread across tabloids, her secret affair revealed with brutal clarity. Chloe Reed said, it was not a rumor, it was a hidden life. Daniel Cross appeared in every photograph, his hand entangled with hers, proof undeniable. Maya Lopez whispered, he was supposed to protect you, guilt pressing into her chest. Ryan Blake slammed the table crying, how could you let this happen? Emma Price muttered, I saw them together, her voice breaking under the weight of memory. Detective Harris smirked grimly, noting the affair is only the beginning. The audience gasped worldwide, realizing everything they believed was a lie. Daniel Cross' true intentions bled into the open. Sophia Carter shouted, you used me. Her tears blurred as Daniel replied coldly, you were only a stepping stone. Chloe Reed declared on air, the betrayal was closer than anyone imagined. Maya Lopez covered her mouth, whispering, I knew this would happen. Ryan Blake lunged forward, his rage uncontrollable. Emma Price whispered in silence, he was never loyal, the truth she had carried for months. Detective Harris wrote, motives, power and greed. Sophia collapsed to her knees, her empire suddenly nothing more than ashes in her hands. The scandal grew beyond affairs, bleeding into darker truths. Chloe Reed shouted, the money trails exposed ties to organized crime. Sophia Carter gasped, no, it can't be, her voice trembling. Daniel Cross adjusted his tie, pride in his eyes. Maya Lopez whispered, we signed everything without knowing. Ryan Blake stammered, this will destroy us all. Emma Price whispered, I saw the ledgers, they hid everything in plain sight. Detective Harris muttered, fraud, laundering, conspiracy. The revelation shattered illusions, exposing Sophia not just as fallen star, but as pawn in dangerous games. Detective Harris tightened his grip on the case. He said, this isn't about love, this is about survival. Sophia Carter screamed, you ruined me, Daniel. Daniel Cross laughed, you ruined yourself. Chloe Reed announced, investigations reveal hidden accounts offshore. Maya Lopez muttered, we can't escape now. Ryan Blake shouted, she trusted you. Emma Price whispered, the police will come. The walls closed in tighter, and the web of crime wrapped around Sophia's glittering world like chains. By the end of the twist, silence fell heavier than screams. Chloe Reed whispered to her audience, it was never only scandal, it was crime. Sophia Carter stared into distance, whispering, I've lost everything. Daniel Cross lifted his glass with victory shining in his eyes. "What?" Maya Lopez wept quietly, trapped in guilt. Ryan Blake muttered, "We're all going down." Emma Price's trembling words cut through. "I saw what no one else dared to see." Detective Harris declared, "The surface is gone. Now we see the depths." The truth was bigger than fame. It was survival, power, and ruin. The night burned with flashing red and blue as police swarmed Sophia Carter's mansion. Chloe Reed declared, "The arrest has shaken Hollywood to its core." Sophia stumbled down marble steps, hands trembling, voice breaking. "Please, not like this." Daniel Cross stood back, satisfied smirk widening as chaos consumed her. Maya Lopez screamed, "Stop! She's not a criminal!" But her voice drowned under sirens. Ryan Blake lunged forward. "She needs help, not handcuffs." Officers held him back. Emma Price hid in shadows, whispering, "I can't watch this." Detective Harris gave the order, "Take her in," his tone final and merciless. The world's cameras clicked like thunder, each flash another nail in her coffin. The courtroom became a battlefield of words and broken reputations. Sophia Carter stood pale under harsh lights, whispering, "I never meant for this." Chloe Reed announced, "The trial of the decade begins." Daniel Cross sat smugly behind lawyers, his betrayal now weaponized as testimony. Maya Lopez clutched papers, torn between silence and confession. Ryan Blake leaned forward muttering, "She doesn't deserve this," his face lined with despair. Emma Price sat quietly, knowing her truth could change everything. Detective Harris presented evidence, stating fraud, laundering lies. The gallery gasped, the empire of glamour now ashes in a sterile courtroom. The silent witness finally stepped forward. Emma Price trembled on the stand, whispering, "I saw everything. I heard everything." Sophia Carter gasped, "Emma, why now?" Chloe Reed's voice echoed, "The testimony could seal her fate." Daniel Cross glared, fury flashing in his eyes. Maya Lopez wept quietly, guilt pressing harder. Ryan Blake muttered, "You're saving her or destroying her." Detective Harris nodded firmly, "The truth is all that matters." Emma's words spilled like knives, her voice fragile but unshaken. The jury leaned in, the weight of her revelation shifting the trial forever. The knife cut deepest when betrayal came from within. Maya Lopez, once loyal, broke down on the stand. She cried, "I knew everything, but I stayed silent." Sophia Carter screamed, "Maya, how could you?" Chloe Reed reported, "The closest confidant has turned against her." Daniel Cross smiled with cruel delight. Ryan Blake shouted, "You were her family." Emma Price covered her face, unable to watch. Detective Harris tapped his pen, whispering, "Complicity confirmed." Maya's tears streamed, but her words shattered Sophia's last hope. The courtroom exploded in whispers as the collapse became complete. The verdict echoed like a blade. The foreman announced, "Guilty." Sophia Carter closed her eyes, a single tear rolling down as the world collapsed. Chloe Reed's voice carried, "Her downfall is complete." Daniel Cross leaned back satisfied, whispering, "It's over." Maya Lopez buried her face in hands. Ryan Blake pounded the bench, yelling, "This isn't justice." Emma Price whispered, "I never wanted it this way." Detective Harris declared, "The verdict is not the end. It is only the beginning of her ruin." The gavel struck like thunder, sealing her fate forever. The mansion stood silent, halls stripped of laughter and light. Sophia Carter walked slowly through empty rooms, whispering, "It's all gone." Chloe Reed narrated, her empire turned to dust. Daniel Cross had vanished, his shadow left behind like poison. Maya Lopez sat in her car outside, crying into her hands. Ryan Blake pressed his forehead against the locked gate, whispering, "She doesn't deserve to be alone." Emma Price peered once more from the street, guilt carved into her face. Detective Harris stood firm, muttering, "Ashes remain after fire." Sophia's heels echoed on marble floors like a requiem for glory. The enabler finally broke. Maya Lopez sat in her apartment surrounded by papers, muttering, "I was part of it." Sophia Carter's voice echoed in her mind, "Stay with me." Chloe Reed reported, her closest ally admits her silence destroyed them both. Daniel Cross toasted somewhere unseen, victory intoxicating. Ryan Blake called Maya, shouting, "Why didn't you stop it?" Emma Price whispered alone, "She wasn't strong enough to leave." Detective Harris read her signed confession, saying, "Complicity is guilt." Tears soaked Maya's face, but truth weighed heavier than her loyalty ever had. The media force moved on, hungry for new scandals. Chloe Reed said, "The storm has passed, but its scars remain." Sophia Carter walked unnoticed through a grocery store, head low, muttering, "No cameras, no applause." Daniel Cross lounged in luxury far away, untouched by the chaos he birthed. Maya Lopez stayed silent, hiding from the world. Ryan Blake gave up interviews, bitterness thick in his tone. Emma Price returned to her quiet life, but nightmares lingered. Detective Harris closed his file with a sigh. Another case finished, another life destroyed. Fame's silence was louder than its noise. Exile became Sophia Carter's companion. Alone in a rented cabin, she whispered, "I was everything. Now I am nothing." Chloe Reed's latest report played faintly on her old radio. Daniel Cross' name surfaced occasionally, in rumors of more schemes. Maya Lopez wrote letters she never sent, lines of regret filling the pages. Ryan Blake posted a photo of them together, captioning, "I'll never forget." Emma Price prayed quietly, hoping truth would forgive her. Detective Harris murmured, "The law ended it, but her punishment continues." Sophia stared at the horizon, torn between surrender and survival. The resolution was not redemption, but survival. Sophia Carter walked through abandoned theater seats whispering, "This was my kingdom." Chloe Reed ended a segment, her story as a warning carved in glass. Daniel Cross' empire thrived untouched, his shadow looming larger. Maya Lopez vanished from public eye, her silence eternal. Ryan Blake rebuilt slowly, scarred but unbroken. Emma Price carried guilt, but truth had freed her. Detective Harris closed the door behind him, saying, "Another case ends, but scars remain." Sophia's footsteps echoed like a requiem, her life a ghost of the glory she once commanded. Sophia Carter sat in a dimly lit studio for a quiet interview, her voice trembling as she whispered, "I had it all, and I destroyed it." Chloe Reed narrated, she was no longer the goddess of red carpets, only a woman left with her scars. Daniel Cross remained absent yet powerful, his shadow haunting every word. Maya Lopez sat at home, tears falling as she watched on television. Ryan Blake posted the clip online, writing, "She deserves to be heard." Emma Price prayed silently, wishing peace upon her former employer. Detective Harris leaned forward, whispering, "She's finally admitting what we all knew." Sophia looked into the camera and said, "I was destroyed by myself." The silence after her words was louder than any applause. Daniel Cross sat in silence, victory heavy in his grin. Sophia Carter's fall had gifted him power beyond reach. Chloe Reed whispered into her microphone, "The betrayer walks free while she suffers." Maya Lopez muttered from her couch, "He planned it all." Ryan Blake slammed his laptop, saying, "How is he untouchable?" Emma Price whispered, "Evil often thrives in shadows." Detective Harris clenched his jaw. "We couldn't pin him, not this time." Sophia closed her eyes somewhere far away, whispering, "He'll never be punished." The silence around Daniel was more terrifying than noise, the calm of a man who had won everything by breaking someone else. The fans who once screamed her name now vanished into silence. Sophia Carter scrolled through social media feeds, her face pale as she whispered, "Not a single voice left." Chloe Reed announced, "Her following has abandoned her completely." Daniel Cross toasted champagne with new partners, his name rising while hers sank. Maya Lopez stopped answering calls, ashamed to face the world. Ryan Blake muttered, "She gave them everything, and they threw her away." Emma Price whispered, "She deserved compassion, not erasure." Detective Harris said coldly, "The world loves watching flames, not ashes." Sophia closed the laptop, her reflection staring back, as if she no longer recognized herself. Whispers of unfinished business lingered in the air. Sophia Carter stared into the mirror, whispering, "Maybe it isn't over." Chloe Reed narrated, "Rumors suggest she is plotting something in silence." Daniel Cross poured another drink, unaware that storms still brewed. Maya Lopez folded unsent letters, muttering, "She won't stay down." Ryan Blake whispered in a podcast, "She'll rise again." Emma Price trembled in church pews, saying, "If she speaks, the truth will burn them all." Detective Harris adjusted his tie, muttering, "Loose ends never stay tied." The silence felt like the prelude to a storm not yet revealed. The final blow landed in silence more chilling than sound. Sophia Carter walked out of the courthouse alone, cameras clicking but no voices cheering. Chloe Reed whispered, "She was not destroyed by her enemies. She was destroyed by herself." Daniel Cross disappeared into limousines, untouched by justice. Maya Lopez wept into her hands, hiding from reporters. Ryan Blake turned away, broken but surviving. Emma Price whispered into the wind, "The story isn't over." Detective Harris muttered, "There's always another chapter waiting." Sophia vanished into the crowd, swallowed by shadows, her fate left unresolved. The world held its breath, haunted by the possibility of more.